بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. Alhamdulillah, it is a pleasure being here, being able to present and speak about the life of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And truly we are all grateful, alhamdulillah, that Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have invited us so that we can participate in the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This is an invitation from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam that they wanted us to reach high ranks. They want our du'as to be answered. They want us to reach proximity to God. Therefore, they have invited us to participate in the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We're talking about the letters of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and we were talking about the letter that Imam Hussein wrote to one of his great companions, Habib ibn Madahir. And the letter you read was this: Min Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam, attributed to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, ila rajul al-faqih, to the knowledgeable scholar. And we read here, La tabkhal alayna binafsik, do not be stingy upon us when it comes to yourself. I mean, give everything that you have for us. Yujazika Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam yawm al-qiyamah. Rasulullah will give you a reward, will reward you on the day of judgment. When we think about Habib ibn Madahir and the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and it's interesting that, I want to ask you this question: would we remember Habib if it wasn't for Karbala? Think about this. How many people right now through these 10 nights are saying his name, mentioning his name, mentioning his story, mentioning the way that he was martyred? How many people visit him, his shrine, which is, a few feet away from Imam Hussein alayhi salam's shrine? How many people do ziyarat of him from far, from close? When they do ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they also do ziyarat of the shuhada of Imam Hussein. My question is this: would Habib have this position if it wasn't for Imam Hussein? Would he have this honor? So when you look at one of the other specific traits of the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, we spoke about them being fearless, not having fear. We spoke about Habib ibn Madahir and the different attributes that he had. Tonight we're going to talk about this attribute of Habib ibn Madahir, being honored, raising rank because of his proximity to Imam Hussein. So to answer this question, no, absolutely not. If it wasn't for Karbala, we really wouldn't remember Habib probably. Maybe a few people would remember him in the books of history, but not in this way, in fashion. There's no way that we would remember Habib, and there's no way that in reality, in the hereafter, he would have this position. It is Imam Hussein alayhi salam that gave Habib everything. Habib gave everything for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam gave everything to Habib. When you do things for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, even a small amount is a lot, is counted as a lot. And Habib was the protector, was the commander of one of the sides of the army of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So tonight we're going to be talking about this important concept that Habib has, and we were talking about this letter, that he reached the position of being Kareem, and having a high position, of being honored. And unfortunately, many people have lost the way. They think that being honored this day and age and in social media and platforms is by the amount of subscribers they have, the amount of followers they have, the amount of people, they say, oh, mashallah, you speak well, mashallah, you have, you do things well. They think that honor comes from people. But if you want true honor, look up the life of Habib ibn Madahir. It comes with sacrifice, it comes with action, and it comes with proximity to Sayyid al-Shuhada. Because Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and we'll talk about tonight, has the highest of positions after the Prophet of Islam, that the family of the Holy Prophet has the highest of positions. So therefore, anybody that is attributed to Imam Hussein alayhi salam will also be remembered forever. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is timeless. 20 million people today, this day and age, come and visit him, mention him. Look at the honor that Imam Hussein alayhi salam has, and look at the way that he's showering honor upon all of us. And if we have anything in the Day of Judgment, if we have a little bit of status, it is because of Hussein ibn Ali, if you really think about it. So Ashura is the time period for us to become honorable people. Ashura is the time to get this honor. And let's tonight study and examine the Quran, study the narrations, the how to become an honorable person in this world and the hereafter. When we look at the word Kareem or honor in Arabic, you see that the Quran itself is the noble Quran. Innahu la Quranun Kareem. The Quran is noble, its nobility is honorable. Or you see verses in the Holy Quran like 22:18 that if Allah wants to humiliate someone, there's nobody else that can give them honor. That honor is bestowed by God. وَمَنْ يُهِنِ اللَّهِ فَمَا لَهُ مِنْ مُكْرِمٍ. There's no bestower of honor to a person that Allah wants to bring down. If Allah wants to bring down Yazid and make him dhalil, he will. Nobody can do anything. Even, all these scholars that love Bani Umayyad, they could try as much as they want. Nobody likes Yazid. Inna Allah yaf'alu ma yasha. Allah does whatever He wills. So therefore, you see in this verse in the Holy Quran that it is Allah that gives honor, is Allah that gives izzat, is Allah that gives someone their noble rank. Or you see other verses in the Quran that talk about being honorable. بِمَا غَفَرَ لِي رَبِّي وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ. You see, for example, Habib Najjar 36:27, that after he was killed in the way of God, that, oh, how my Lord has forgiven me and placed me amongst the honored. When Habib, which was, in Surah Yasin, he came to assist, and they ended up killing him, and he was martyred. See, Habib Najjar becomes of the Mukrami. So therefore, we see that in the Quran, this is mentioned, that people that are either the Holy Quran, or you see people that have sacrificed, they're of the Mukrameen. Later on, at the end of tonight's sermon, we'll be talking about some of the attributes, how to become Mukram. But you see that Imam Hussein alayhi salam has this nobility. Why is Imam Hussein so noble? Why is Imam Hussein alayhi salam so honored? When you mention his name, say Imam Hussein, how much weight does that have? How powerful is it? When you say Karbala, and you see it is the dream, it is the top of the dream of anybody, it is the most desirable thing is Karbala, the place that our master Seyed al-Shuhada has become martyr. When you say it's a majlis of Imam Hussein, how much honor and respect does that have? When you say it's a reciter for Imam Hussein, not me, but in general, a reciter for Imam Hussein, a scholar that talks about Imam Hussein, everything becomes valuable with Imam Hussein added to it. You can bring tea for somebody, that's something new, normal. But when you bring tea for, say, the Shuhada, that's a different realm. That has a different value now, because it's connected to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So you see that source of honor for us, Shi'ism, source of honor and dignity is Sayyid al-Shuhada, that he brought his companions like Habib Nadahir, gave him such a high position that we all remember him. We give his names. You talk about Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, you talk about Zuhair, you talk about Muslim al-Sajjah, you talk about different companions of Imam Hussein, and you remember them, you remember their stories. You talk about the children. Tonight, inshallah, we'll talk about the son of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Qasim ibn al-Hassan alayhi salam, Abdullah ibn Hassan alayhi salam. We talk about these people, Ali Akbar, Ali Asghar, and they all have this high position because of this movement of the Ashura of Imam Hussein alayhi salam that gave honor to all these people, that they stayed with Imam Hussein. It was one day, one difficult day, yes, but after that they had rank, they had position. They were not the same people anymore. So Imam Hussein, how come he's so honorable? Look at the hadith. Look at the tradition about the honor of Imam Hussein that he gave to Habib ibn Madar. One is that Imam Hussein alayhi salam is the father of 9 imams. Imamat went through Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, Abbar alayhi salam, and our master and our Mawla, may Allah expedite his return, Imam Mahdi, Ajullah Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif, is from descendant of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That's a big honor. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the Mahdi is Husseini. It's from the progeny of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It's his grandfather. Soil, these are specific things. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, yes, he's noble. Because he's a divine guide. Yes, he's an imam. I'm not talking about those things that are specific to imamat, because if you open that up, that's included for everyone, for all the imams. I want to be specific about Sayyid al-Shuhada, be specific about Ashura. We see that Imam Hussein alayhi salam is specifically honored because he's the father of 9 imams. He's specifically honored because the soil of Karbala is a shifa for every type of sickness. We have in narrations. As long as you preserve it right, you collect it right, it comes from the correct place. Some of the Maraja say that the true soil has to be from the grave, from the actual grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Not just the land of Karbala, has to be from the grave. So you see that his soil is cure, is shafa. You see that his grave is a place where Allah loves to be called. Imam Hadi alayhi salam once was sick, and you see in Kamil al-Ziyarat, and the narrator says, Ba'atha ilayya Abu al-Hasan alayhi salam fi mardihi. Imam Hadi alayhi salam was sick, the imams became sick. It's part of their human aspect. They become sick just like humans, yes. And he called upon one of his companions. He called upon, it says here, Ila Muhammad ibn Hamza. And there it says, it tells him, or the narration, it says, the Imam alayhi salam, Kamil al-Ziyarat says, Ib'athu ila al-Ha'ir. Go to Ha'ir. Ha'ir is that area that is under the dome of Imam Hussein, right next to the holy shrine body of Imam Hussein, the holy grave of Imam Hussein. And this narrator was surprised. Why do you send me to go to the holy shrine on his behalf? He was so amazed, surprised. Why? And later on, they went and they asked the holy Imam alayhi salam, why was this so? That you're an imam yourself, you are a shrine yourself. Why do you want me to go there and do dua for you? You see very beautifully the Imam alayhi salam mentioned that there are innama hiya mawatin yuhibbullah and yudhkara fiha. There are mawatin, there are places where Allah loves that is named to be mentioned there. فَأَنَا أُحِبْ أَنْ يُدْعَى لِي حَيْثُ يُحِبُّ اللَّهُ أَنْ يُدْعَى فِيهَا. And I wanted you to pray for me in a place that Allah loved for his name to be remembered. And where is that? And then it's mentioned, وَالْحَائِرْ مِنْ تِلْكَ الْمَوَاضِعِ. And Ha'ir is one of those places that Allah loves his name to be glorified. Very interesting when you think about this position that Imam was in, so honorable. I was thinking about this in the day of Arafah, because the day of Arafah, is one of our very holy days. Very holy days. If you don't have forgiveness, in Shahr Ramadan, it says, to get forgiveness in Arafah or Arafat. So people go to Hajj usually in Arafah. People go to Hajj. And when you really think of it, they're the guests of Allah. They're going to Baytullah. Masjid al-Haram is the house of Allah. And they're separated themselves from everything that's haram. And when they have ihram, they're putting, more things that are haram from themselves in a certain way. and doing tawaf, and they're performing, going to Arafat on that day and performing Hajj. And Hajj is, is Arafah in the traditions. Hajj is Arafah basically. So that is so important, that wuquf in Arafat. So you don't think of anybody higher in position. You don't think of anything greater than going to the house of God. And of course, as you know, in Arabic, this is al-idafa al-tashrifiyya, meaning that, because of the honor of Mecca, Allah has said that this is my house, the Kaaba, this is my house. Of course, God doesn't have a place or time, but because of the honor of it, this is my house, you're visiting me, my house. But when you look at traditions in the day of Arafah, it says that the angels first go to the shrine of Abi Abdullah, Sayyid alayhi salam. Then they go to Mecca or go to Arafah. It's, blows your mind away that these are the guests of God. But God says, first, angels, go and see who's visiting Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who's visiting Hussein ibn Ali. Answer their prayers. Look at them. This is one of the most important days. But instead of looking at and viewing my visitors, go Karbala. So this is honor, higher than the guests of God. Why? Because Imam Hussein gave everything he had for God. And God gave everything to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He gave everything. There's nothing that he didn't give. Everything he put forward for God. Even his six-month-old baby. For Allah, in front of him, in front of his mother, in front of his sister. So therefore, we see that Imam Hadi alayhi salam, many years, is sick and asked somebody to do dua for him in Karbala, Ajab. You see that the angels come and they're given instruction to look at the visitors of Imam Hussein first before the Hujjaj. Allah, subhanallah. So you understand that these are specific things that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his soil is Shafa. He's the father of 9 Imams. That the dome, under the dome of Imam Hussein, it is a place where Allah likes to be prayed, and it's a place where Allah likes to answer their dua. So therefore, we understand that this is the path that we need to go. This is the path that we want to be valuable. Nobody wants to be invaluable. Nobody wants to be worthless. That is the worst thing you could say. That somebody doesn't give you respect. Sometimes, our children, we don't give them respect. We always think we treat them as children. Why? Because we don't give them responsibilities. When you give them responsibilities, then they become a man. Then they grow up, you give them responsibilities, then you look at them differently, right? So we are all looking at society to respect us. But more important than this, even if they don't, but when you become Husseini, society will respect you. That's what I'm trying to say. In this world, you will be respected. Just like these names are being respected every day, the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they're respected every day. So therefore, you will be respected in the dunya, and in the akhirah, then you will see what will happen to you. You see what happens to Habib in the position that they have. The companions of Imam Hussein, they're incomparable to other companions. So alhamdulillah, we become honorable. Why? Because Imam Hussein alayhi salam has ni'mah, is a blessing for the entire existence. So when you come close to Imam Hussein, you get that blessing. That when you cry for him, when you do ziyarat of him, your prayers are answered, and therefore we get honor. We're going to refer for the second half of the speech tonight to the Quran and get some specific instructions besides aza and crying and ziyarat and dua, which is very good, the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, to get specific instruction from the Quran and to see how we can become of the mukramun, how the Quran talks about becoming those that are honored. Because Islam is a complete package. Habib ibn Madahib did not just say, Imam Hussein, I love you, and didn't do a salat and didn't fast or read the Quran. Habib was complete because his master Imam Hussein was complete. So it is a complete religion. You have to take care of everything. You can't just be crying for Imam Hussein alayhi salam and forget about salat, crying about Imam Hussein and forgetting about people and respecting people. So let's see one of these beautiful chapters in the Quran and examine them, inshallah, and we'll end. We see in Surah Al-Ma'arij. You can look yourselves. I'm assuming you have laptops. You can look at, so it's chapter 70. And you can look at verse 20 or verse 19. If you want, I can give you some time to look it up. It's not bad if you open up the Qur'ans and go 70, 35. Actually, 70, 20, 70, 90. You read the Holy Quran, talks about man. Innal insana khuliqa halu'an. Man has been created halu'an. This could be either anxious, and some say it could mean that the level of tolerance is very small. They really can't tolerate too much. People are weak. Innal insana khuliqa halu'an. Okay, keep this in mind. We're going to talk about honor from this. When you talk about some negative attributes of man, either they're anxious, they're greedy, some say haris. Halu'an can be haris, like greedy, or it can be that they're weak. It doesn't necessarily mean that man is inherently evil. It doesn't mean that. Man is not inherently evil. Man has inclinations towards evil. Man has powers and attractions towards the evil. He has specific tools that Allah has given him. And if he does not get these specific tools in the right way, then he'll be deviated. For example, if you say halu'an means greedy, man is greedy. This is actually something good. Okay, greed is something good. How can greed be good? Because greed, if used in the right way, it means that you don't ever get satisfied. It means that when you do salat and you pray in a specific way, you desire to do a better salat than the one you did before. It means that when you seek knowledge and you gain a little bit amount of knowledge, that you do not suffice yourself with this amount of knowledge. You're greedy and you want more. You want more and more and more. So greed, or some of these attributes that you see inside of man, is a tool for man to use so that they can reach perfection with it. You want more. You want azab Imam Hussein. You have tears. You cry for Imam Hussein one night a lot. The next time you want to cry even more. You don't say, "Oh, I cried, last night. That's it. You tasted, the tears, crying for Imam Hussein. My heart burned for Imam Hussein. That's it." You want more and more and more. That's why, insan is always searching for kamal and perfection. They always want to perfect themselves. They always want to go higher and higher. So in general, we see verses like Innal insana khuliqa halu'an. You can say that these verses, if you translate in the way of being greedy, are tools that mankind has for him to continue his spiritual journey and not to limit himself to basic levels. إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. If evil touches him, he's impatient. وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. And when good touches him, he's withholding of it. He does mana. So mankind has these issues, that these potentials, you have to be careful. Except for a certain amount of people. There's an exception. Those that are not impatient. You could say those that do not withhold. Who does not withhold? Who is not impatient when evil falls upon them? إِلَّا الْمُصَلِّينَ. Except those that do salat. Those that do salat, they will not have these negative attributes, right? So now you see from here, it's going to give a few lines. And at the end of these lines, it's going to talk about, after these qualities, the Quran says this, Ulaika fi jannatin mukramun, 35. They will be in gardens honored. So these people that with the following, you could say, is my Muharram Shirazi has in his tafsir, that these following attributes go back, Ulaika goes to these attributes. If you have these attributes, then you are mukramun. You'll be honored in heaven. You'll be honored in gardens. Let's see if we have these attributes. So it talks about إِلَّا الْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ دَائِمُونَ, who are constant in their prayers. They are part of the mukramin. If you want to be honored, you have to be constant in your prayer. Salat is mi'raj al-mu'min. Salat raises our ranks. It is the best action. It is the best way to connect to God. It is the most, you could say, the most ways in terms of manner and etiquette, the best way to perform respect towards God and humility. Just think of it. You're doing sujood, you're doing ruku, you're doing tathir, you're cleaning yourself first, reciting beautiful verses of the Quran, and you're talking to God in the most absolute humble way. So this will make you of the mukramun, because you're talking to God and getting close to God. Then somebody will become honored when he does his salat properly and it affects them. He will be honored after many years of doing da'imun consistently with their salat, not somebody that prays one day and doesn't pray the other. After 70 years of salat, you'll see that difference, of course. After 10 years of salat, you'll see that difference. So that's the first thing. We want to be honorable. And this is the path of Abi Abdullah alayhi salam. The path of Imam Hussein was a path of salat. Salat on the day of Ashura. Salat with arrows shooting and hitting people. وَالَّذِينَ فِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ, and those within whose wealth it is a known right. Imam Hussein giving wealth. A person comes to his door and they ask, he was a beggar, and this is in some of the books, who is the most generous person in Medina? They say, oh, Hussein ibn Ali. Go to the house of Hussein ibn Ali. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam takes whatever money he has and gives him and apologizes for him. And it was such a large amount, and that person begins to cry, and he is wondering, why is, Imam Hussein says, I apologize if this is not enough. He's apologizing to this person that he gave large amount of money to. The person is not crying because of the amount, he's crying because of the generosity. He helped someone he didn't even know, gave him money. And he's wondering, says, these hands, because it was behind the door. So honor that person. God, he was wondering what would happen. How can the earth devour such a person? How can the earth devour such a generous person? Such a generous person deserves to live forever on this earth. So this is the way that people would see Seyed al-Shahada, that they would give, and therefore this is the path of honor. Imam Hussein, that today we are talking about him, remembering his name. It is because of these actions that he had. It's because of his salat. It's because of that he gave his money in the way of Allah. وَلِلسَّائِلِينَ وَالْمَحْرُومِ, he gives for the petitioner, the pride, he gives them some money. وَالَّذِينَ يُصَدَّقُونَ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ, they believe in the recompense. Firm believers in the hereafter. What if they didn't believe in the hereafter? Would the companions of Imam Hussein be so strong? No. It's because of that firm belief. And we'll talk about his letter to Muhammad ibn Hanafi, we'll talk about him, and we'll talk about the fact that Imam Hussein talks about this world as if it never existed. It doesn't exist. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِ رَبِّهِمْ مُشْفِقُونَ, for those who are fearful of the punishment of their Lord, they are mukramun. They fear the punishment of their Lord. How much do we fear the punishment of our Lord? What would we say if Allah didn't forgive our sins? What would we do if Allah, these nights in Muharram, we come and Allah did not forgive us? What would we do? We have a limited time to become pure and have Allah forgive our sins. And it continues. I'm going to mention a few of these, and those that have chastity. Yes. So we have وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَوَعْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ 32. Those that when they, with trust, and those that with promises, they are attentive and they respect the trust. Imam Hussein's grandfather was Muhammad al-Amin. People trusted him with things. He was the trustworthy person. Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, people trusted them. Even their enemies trusted them with things. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِشَهَادَاتِهِمْ قَائِمُونَ. So we understand that from these things that we're understanding and trying to develop ourselves to have honor in the way of Allah, honor through Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it's not only reading Quran and Mafati. It's how we deal with people. It's about worships, how we have amanat towards people. How we have the trust of people, how we are with our ahd, our covenants, our promises. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ مُكْرَمُونَ. They are the ones that will be in heavens honored. So today we learned about salat, we learned about giving and charity, we learned about protection, chastity, we learned about amanat and trust. These are all things, and staying with our promises and our covenants. These are all signs that will be of the mukramun, and this is the way that Imam Hussein alayhi salam guided and took the companions' hand and brought them into perfection through this practice. This is the practice. These are the answers to reaching such a high position, the answers of Islam, the wajibat of Islam, and abiding by them and doing them correctly. Someone will become, inshallah, like Imam Hussein. Let's recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tonight we're going to be talking about Qasim ibn al-Hasan alayhi salam, and the representative of Imam Hassan in Karbala. Some say he was only 14. And we give this, inshallah, this thawab of this majlis to all of those children at a young age that came to the defense of Islam throughout history. Some would even, in some battles and wars, would change their birth certificate and say they're older so that they could participate and defend Islam. So this is for all those children that they fought and they did not look like Qasim ibn Hassan. Age for them was not a hindrance to become a companion of Imam Hussein. They were young, but at the same time, they fought in the battle of Imam Hussein. Possibly Qasim ibn Hassan alayhi salam was too even small for armor. He was unarmored. But he wanted to go and become a martyr of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein didn't want him at the beginning. There's in the books, Imam Hussein resisted. This is the son of Imam Hassan. Imam Hussein, it's hard for him. He's responsible for Qasim ibn Hassan. It's his nephew. He doesn't have a father. And his other brother, Abdullah. He doesn't want them to be martyred. They're so young. Those people are treacherous. How are they going to fight with people like Shamr and fight with these horrible people, these young and pure children of imams? How are they going to fight? Imam Hussein didn't want him to become martyred. He was responsible for them. So Imam Hussein alayhi salam mentions, in general, how do you see? He comes to Imam Hussein the night of Ashura. Imam Hussein doesn't have, who else has companions like these? They come and worried. Everyone is worried what's going to happen tomorrow. What's Hadrat Qasim's worry? Comes to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and asks him, will I be among the martyrs? Or will I be left out? Will I be among the martyrs tomorrow? That's his concern. Imam Hussein alayhi salam asks him, how do you see death? Qasim says, oh uncle, death to me is sweeter than honey. Death to me is sweeter than honey. Who were these companions, Hussein? They buried them all together. When you visit the Shuhada in Karbala, you see Imam Hussein, you see Ali Akbar has his own shrine. Ali Asghar is with Imam Hussein, he's in the chest of Imam Hussein. But all these bodies are buried next to each other. There's a small place, it's called the Shuhada, the shrine of the Shuhada. And then mentioned, you can look there, there's 3 corners. You can read the names, Qasim ibn Hassan, Abdullah ibn Hassan alayhi salam. You see Awn, Muhammad, you see Zuhair, Musab ibn Awsaj. You see these companions, they're all buried in one little small place. On the day of Ashura, Qasim, like other cousins before him, went to his uncle to ask for permission. Hussein would not permit him because he was so young and could not bear the thought of anything happening to him. This went for many times. He came and left. And then some say here that Qasim went to his tent of his mother, and his mother brought him and saw that his son was upset, gave him a letter from Hassan ibn Ali, and recorded in some sources, my son Qasim, this is from Imam Hassan, how much Imam Hassan wishes he was there to protect Imam Hussein alayhi salam. My son Qasim, a day will come when my brother Hussein will be facing an enemy army of tens of thousands. That will be the day when Islam will need to be saved by sacrifice. Imam Hassan, mashallah, he pointed a very important thing. Islam will be saved by blood. Islam will be saved by sacrifice. Islam will be saved by your son, the blood of your son, 14 years old. You must represent me on that day. That's why some like Allama Amini say that the 5 under the cloak were present in Ashura. Each person had a representative. The representative of Imam Hassan is Qasim, as if Imam Hassan is there, Qasim is there. Imam Ali is there by Abul Fadl Abbas. That's Imam Ali. Lady Fatima alayhi salam is there by Lady Zainab. That's her representative. Rasulullah is there by Ali Akbar. Ashbahun nas khalqan wa khulqan. The most similar people to Rasulullah. He went to the battlefield. If you don't know me, I'm the son of Al-Hassan. Some say here he didn't have armor. They saw this young lad come. He carried a sword. He was wearing a shirt, a waistcloth, a pair of sandals. One of those straps was broken, it even says. And he mentions this. It doesn't matter. Age does not hinder him. Our children in general, when it comes to their dreams, their aspirations to reach perfection, nothing should hinder their dreams, to become the best of this world, inshallah. If you don't know me, I'm the son of Al-Hassan, grandson of Prophet Mustafa, the chosen, the trustworthy. Each one of these, shuhada of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it's enough just to have an Ashura just for one of them. Just for one of them, they were so good. This is my uncle that is like a prison full of difficulties. This is my uncle that is like a prison full of difficulties among the people that hopefully they will drink from the brain. So Qasim ibn Hassan comes and he's carrying his sword. There, the battle begins. And they say, let me attack. Umar ibn Sa'd al-Nufayl said, I said, praise by Allah. What do you want to do that for? Some said, some of the narrate, why do you want to do that for? Leave him. He says, well, even one of the family of Hussein remains, that will be enough to take vengeance on your death. But he insisted, by Allah, let me attack him. So he rushed again toward Qasim, and did not turn back until he had struck his head with his sword. It split it into 2. Qasim ibn Hassan, I apologize, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. I apologize, Imam Hassan. This is your son, Imam Hassan. His head was split into 2. The young lad fell face forward and he cried out, قال يا أما, oh uncle. قال فجل الحسين عليه السلام كما يجلي الصقر. He showed himself just like a hawk comes down. A hawk came down, he cried, uncle, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam came to Qasim. Imam Hussein launched a battle like a raging lion. He struck Umar ibn Sa'd ibn Nufayl with his sword. The man tried to fend off the blow of Imam Hussein, but his arm was cut. Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, and turned. Now it's Imam Hussein alayhi salam standing by his nephew, standing by and seeing Imam Hassan's son. And he says here, may the people who have caused your death perish, for the one who will oppose them on the day of resurrection on your behalf will be your grandfather. Then he continued, by Allah, it is hard. ثم قال عز والله على عمك أن تدعوه فلا يجيب. It is hard for your uncle to be called, for you to call him, and for him not to answer. And he did not answer you. And rather, he answered you, but your cry was too late to help you. So therefore, the relatives, by those who kill his relatives are many, but those who help him are few. Then he carried him in his arms. Imam Hussein carried him in his arms, the holy body of Qasim ibn Hassan alayhi salam. Ya Allah, we ask you by the honor of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, by the honor of Qasim ibn Hassan, courageous young person that fought in Karbala and was martyred in Karbala. We ask you, inshallah, to guide all of the youth, guide all of our children, inshallah, guide all of our children's children, our progeny, all the way to 7 generations, more generations. Guide all of them, inshallah. Make them of the honorable. We talked about becoming honorable through Imam Hussein, like Habib ibn Madahir. Make him of the Musallin, inshallah, our progeny. Make them, inshallah, of the reciters of the Quran. Make them, inshallah, of those that give sadaqah and charity and help people. Make them of those that keep their promises, and make them of those, inshallah, that are followers of Imam Mahdi, inshallah. Ya Allah, expedite the return of Imam Mahdi, ajallah ta'ala faraja. Make us of his companions, inshallah. Accept our majalis. Give shafa to those that are sick. Give rahmah to those that have passed away, inshallah. And give us, inshallah, tawfiq more to cry for you, to cry for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, to cry for the shuhada of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahli bayti tayyibin tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajal farajum. Thank you. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow night.